Hi friends, it's Belinda here from BMakingJoy, and welcome to my channel. It's been a year since I opened up my Etsy shop, so I thought I'd come on here and share you what my creative process has been this past year. And to say thank you to my friends who have been so supportive, who have encouraged this journey by liking my knits on Instagram and telling me that I should start selling them. So because of that, I took some online seminars back in November, December of 2020. Came up with a business name, set up my social media accounts, and my daughter designed my logo, which is the bee knitting the word joy. And then on January 17, 2001, I opened up my Etsy shop with 3 items to start with. Yes, 3 items. I started with selling physical products, and then later in the year moved into making patterns. So I'm going to give you a fashion show of my creations so far. I began, like I said, with just physical products. So I had slippers, hats in a slouchy style and a beanie style, and matching mittens. These are flip-top mittens. And then at the same time, I was also making some face masks, and a friend asked me to make clear view ones for hard of hearing. So I put some of those on my Etsy shop. And yeah, where am I? Oh, and then a friend asked me for the slippers pattern, and I didn't have a pattern. I just made it up as I went, but on her request, I wrote it up and posted it to Etsy. I also had bathrobes listed. Not this version, actually. My first version was in a blanket yarn. And then, yeah, the original pattern was written in German, and I recognized the numbers and followed the pictures and could see it was a raglan design. And then later on, I saw how one could make a wide collar. And whoops. Oh no. Inside out. So then I revamped the design. So it starts at the back of the collar, all in one piece. And then another friend said, what about your headbands? I had forgotten that years back I had made headbands for everybody. So I dug those out and wrote up that pattern. They are a twisty cable done in a velvet yarn, and I bought tons and tons of yarn. I had them listed for every color, and then after selling a few items, I decided I don't want to keep making the same thing over and over again. So I began to research writing patterns and design, and the first design I came up with was this blouse. But it stalled in the testing phase, so this never made it to the publishing state. But I am in the process of rewriting it for a larger needle size that should work better. I bought myself the Vogue Stitch Dictionary, and that's where I found this stitch. It's called the Turnpike Stitch. And also in that Stitch Dictionary, I saw the June Bug Stitch, which sparked memories of back home for me, because every May, June, the sound of those June bugs on the screen let you know that summer was coming. So I designed a wrap poncho in the June bug stitch. My original one I've given away to my mother, but now I've started another one for myself. I'll insert a picture of the finished object here. And that sparked my memories of down home line. The next stitch I came across online was the Firefly Stitch. which is a braid. The fireflies are long, buggy things. And I designed the wrap and the poncho. And I'm going to pause here because I'm talking too fast and running out of breath. So lightning bugs, that reminded me of childhood. They were very plentiful in the hayfield, and that got me thinking about hay bales. So I started designing a sweater with hay bales in the barn. But before that, it was summertime, so I needed a tank top. And I had fallen in love with the seafoam stitch, which is this, a seafoam drop stitch. So I came up with the idea that that's water, of course, and I needed a rope swinging across the river. And this particular version is made in a color changing yarn from Premier. And my daughter fell in love with that and bought a bunch of yarn for herself. Well, I bought it. And had me design a t-shirt for her. And this is done in, like, it's white. But when you get into the sun, it will change to purple and yellow, which we have no sun today. So it's named Ilana's Surprise Tank. But it could be done in any DK weight yarn, just as this one also is in a DK weight yarn. And then I remembered another design I had done years back, the water bottle sling. At the time I made this, there were no knit versions available online, so I created my own. There are some now, but I still like this one because it's more solid fabric. It's done in just garter stitch or stockinette stitch. And because it's not holey, I can stick other things in there with it. And I added a carabiner so I could carry my mask around with me. And then, end of August, early September, my hay bale cardigan was ready. It's simply a top-down raglan construction with alternating knits and purls to create the hay bale. And I like this one so much that I've started another one in a green. And then I started working on a hoodie. And I named this one the Hometown Hoodie because my first version was done in Lion Brown Hometown yarn. It's since been done in several other kinds of yarns. It too is a top-down raglan, and then you pick up the stitches around the neck to make the hood. Oof. If you can see this, I'm currently making another one using Karen color changing yarn. And then in August, my father-in-law died, and as we were cleaning out his things, we found hats from his late wife, her favorite hats. So I decided to duplicate those. So these are named after her, the Eggy Hats. One version with the sequins on the top, and one version with the sequins on the brim. So those came out in November. And then, of course, for the fall, houndstooth was everywhere. So I came up with this neck warmer. It's just a rectangle color work, and then we button it together around our neck. That's the Honey Don't Hound Me neck warmer. And then I need to fetch something. Okay, so I bought some special yarns, some alpaca, some camel, some yak, and I was going to play with it and just make gauge swatches when my daughter said, why don't you make a sleeve so we can see what it feels like against our arm? Well, that idea turned into fingerless gloves, hand warmers, and I did them from the top to the cuff so that I could decide when I got here how long I want the cuff to be. And I included in the pattern a video for how to do them 2 at a time with the magic loop method, which means you use a very, very long circular needle and do them both at the same time. And so those are the TAAT for 2 at a time top-down mittens. Now, if you've stuck with me this long, I want to thank you so very much. All your likes and comments are so encouraging, and I want to share with you what's coming up next in 2022. This is in the testing phase. Bianca is modeling a shawl, the By the Ocean shawl, which is still in the testing phase. That pattern should be available in March. And I'll leave you with a sneak peek of some swatches and stuff I'm playing with.